I'm Captain Logan, and welcome back to the tough yet sensitive Comic Vault. Today I'm going to tackle DC Powerpuff Girls number 2. This is from the year 2000, while the show was still on, and is written by Abby Denson with art by Mike DiCarlo. This is a real standard run-of-the-mill Powerpuff Girls story. It's got its moments, but it's nothing real special. Essentially, what we have here, and I was kind of expecting to maybe see some stuff like this, is basically the skeleton of another story that was actually told in the show, and it is basically Mind for a Change again, replacing color with love. And you basically had the idea of love mixed in with the whole color thing in Mind for a Change anyway. If you're not familiar with that episode or you don't remember it, you had a birthday clown who gets turned into an evil black and white mime who tries to suck the color out of the world and make everybody just kind of wander around and mope and not have any joy in anything. And then it's one of the more absurd solutions. The Powerpuff Girls end up defeating him by starting a rock band and bringing all the color back by singing a song about love. Love, love, love makes the world go round. And that's one of my favorite episodes. It's absolutely hilarious, and it makes no sense whatsoever. But it's Powerpuff Girls, and it had that a lot. Anyway, so what we have here is another story about Buttercup not liking the mushy stuff and trying to look all tough. And there's this boy in school who likes her and is trying to woo her and wants her to be his boyfriend. And there's this amusing scene where he goes to Miss Keene and asks what girls like and how to get a girl to like him, and she, of course, being really superficial and kind of representing the really, really stereotypical adult teacher and teacher, but also just adult in how adults deal with children. It was always a little bit of social commentary with Miss Keene of like modern parenting and modern education. And anyway, Miss Keene tells him, oh, well, girls like flowers and chocolate and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, he gets that kind of stuff and brings it to Buttercup, and her eyeballs are so big that he can't kiss her on the cheek. He kisses her on her closed eyeball, and I think that's just really funny, playing with the absurdity of just the bug eye faces as they were called in the movie. So, anyway, Buttercup, of course, spurns him, and he ends up teaming up with him. Him comes down and is like, oh, you got spurned by Buttercup. You hate love now. I hate love too. So let's defeat the Powerpuff Girls together. And he's like, sure. And so him gives this kid this anti-love ray, and he takes the love out of everybody. And again, it's kind of a commentary on just this really superficial modern notion of love. And that's kind of that's funny, but again, the show kind of did that a lot too, so there's nothing real new there. And it's hard not to kind of appreciate Buttercup's viewpoint, because people are just so obnoxiously sappy in this that you can see why she would kind of push against that a little bit. But once again, it's a lot like Mind for a Change in that at the end, the answer is not even just showing someone that you love them, but just saying that you do, and that's good enough. And so Bubbles gets taken out by the love ray harder than anybody else does, because Bubbles loves harder than anybody else does. That's actually kind of a cool idea. And she gets hit with the love ray, and it looks like it kind of puts her into a coma. And the kid gets really upset about it, and is like, oh crap, I didn't mean to do anything that would actually hurt anyone. I just decided that I hated love now because Buttercup spurned me. And it's a very little kid way to, of course, to kind of look at things, that you get burned once, and now fine, I don't even like girls anymore. Kind of playing with that. And so, but I do really like this idea that Bubbles physically can't function if you take the love away from her, and it really demonstrates how the Powerpuff Girls together, those three permeating character traits, are kind of one cohesive person. This is something I talked about when I did my Superhero Rewind years ago on the Powerpuff Girls movie, where you have these kind of, again, three personalities that separately are kind of just a really one-dimensional stereotype, but you put the three of them together and you have a character, and they're still kind of one big stereotype, but it's sort of representative of three parts that make up each person, and I think it's kind of neat that there are 3 of them, because it's like one dimension, and then you get 3 dimensions. Kind of. So it reminds me weirdly of the catchphrase that the kind of big moral lesson that permeates of all things Metropolis from 1927. The mediator between head and hand must be the heart. That's looking into this far too deeply. I'm not saying that this is making any kind of a big bold statement like Metropolis was. I'm just saying it reminded me of that. And then at the end, the kid's like, "Oh, Buttercup, I didn't realize you were so sensitive," and he starts to get into her again, and kisses her again, and then she just beats the crap out of him off panel. That's kind of fun because you've got this idea that Buttercup goes through a character arc, but she's still kind of herself by the end, and you're making fun of the magic reset button where we have to have a status quo that we aren't allowed to break much so that we can start back over every episode. So we're doing that. We're also kind of making fun of that. But also, we have a built-in formula with the Powerpuff Girls where you have to have some kind of violence every time, because that's always a part of superhero things, and Powerpuff Girls likes to have sometimes unnecessary violence in making fun of the fact that there's a lot of violence that maybe sometimes in superhero things pretends like it's necessary just because that's an element you have to have. You have to have that action element, and you don't really have that anywhere in this issue, so you get to the very end and we've not had anybody hit anybody, so of course we have to do that right at the end, and poor kid, it sucks to be that kid, but then, you shouldn't have teamed up with him in the first place. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this. Like I said, it's going to be really weird going through each of these and seeing if I have anything to say about every issue, but at least, if you don't get a chance to read these, you'll get to hear kind of a plot synopsis and get to see some of the art. By the way, speaking of the art, this time the style, of course, is still very faithful, and all the designs and everything very faithful to that show, but I don't like it nearly as much as the Philip Moy stuff, which was a lot more dynamic and a little bit more detailed, even for this material. Of course, the Powerpuff Girls is not the most detailed thing in the world, but this, like I said, faithful to the style of the show, but really kind of bland in comparison to what we saw last time. And look on the back. Look, we've got a Batman Got Milk ad. See, Batman drinks chocolate milk because he's Batman. He likes his milk dark, like the night, which was a poster last year from the Lego Movie with McDonald's. I think it's amusing that that Milk already in the early 2000s was doing ads with Batman drinking chocolate milk, and that's kind of fun. I'm not a big fan of Milk Life. I kind of miss Got Milk, but anyway, whatever. Everybody, thanks always for watching. Sure appreciate it. And if you'd ever like to send anything for me to review on the Comic Vault, you can always send things to our P.O. Box is Geekvolution, P.O. Box 4733, Overland Park, Kansas 66204. And I'll see you again very shortly with Powerpuff Girls number 3. I am Captain Logan. Happy reading.